And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show, Thursday, February 5th, aka the NBA trade deadline. Today is going to be maybe not a wild one because we've gotten a lot done over the past few days, but we are certainly going to get some movement today, whether that's just bench guys, rotation guys, huge trades, whatever it ends up being. We're going to have guys that just simply aren't available tonight because of trades. And that's going to create some value later on as we get past 3 o'clock. Final trades likely to come in, no later than like 3:15. They got to be into the league by 3. So we're going to have some potentially major changes to what this slate looks like. And we already have a bunch of nonsense because of the trades we've seen over the past few days. So the only thing that you guys can do right now is hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. I will be going live today, this afternoon, for the NBA trade deadline. Right now, I have it in to start at 1:30. If we start getting any deals that matter, realistically, like any time from 12:45 on, I'll probably just fire up the stream. If nothing's happening, I'm going to wait till 1:30. But if anything, like if Giannis gets traded at 1, I'm just going to go live at 1 o'clock. So that's where we're at right now. Not to mention shows later tonight, but I will be live for the trade deadline. The event is already created if you're looking for it. We got a lot to talk about. We should probably start with the just absolute preposterous nature of the people that are or are not available on today's slate. We have 8 games overall. We have 6 games on the main. Probably in my best interest to refresh the schedule again, just in case anything weird is happening with makeups and things. Doesn't appear to be the case. 2 7s, 2 7:30s, an 8 and an 8:30, and then a double set of 10 o'clock starts. But this is the only place that we can actually start. Is walking through what we know right now. This is where it gets a little dicey. As of this moment, the Washington Wizards are 2 touchdown underdogs in Detroit. We're not going to see A.J. Johnson. We're not going to see Chris Middleton. We're not going to see Malachi Branham. We're not going to see Marvin Bagley. We're not going to see Trae Young. We're obviously not going to see Cam Whitmore. Trey Johnson is out with like an actual injury. Jameer Watkins is available. But a bunch of these dudes went out in the AD deal. A little bit shorthanded for the Wiz. For the Pistons, not going to have Dario Saric or Isaac Jones. Doesn't seem like they're going to have Kevin Huerter. I would be shocked if he is in any way available. Tobias Harris is questionable, and Cade Cunningham are questionable. So, no idea here. Like, the Pistons could be absolutely insane value if this happens to break with Cade Cunningham being out. Who knows? So that one's going to be a mess. I mean, we can show some of this will be wrong when I look at it, but as best I can tell, the Wizards only have 10 guys today. Now, they could very easily have the ability to like sign some different 10-day contract or something to have another guy today. I have no idea. Looks like we're going to get Tristan Vukcevic back potentially. So we want to pay very close attention here. Brooklyn and Orlando. Doesn't seem like Cam Thomas is going to be around for Brooklyn any longer, but you never know. Maybe it doesn't happen today. Franz Wagner out for the Orlando side. Realistically, this is probably going to be pretty close to what we get. I'd be very surprised to see Orlando do anything today. Now, Brooklyn is very live to shuffle up a bunch of deck chairs And, you never know if they try to trade Michael Porter Jr. You never know if they're just going to move some stuff around from an asset perspective. So Brooklyn can get weird, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that case. This one will be weird. Utah Jazz, Atlanta Hawks. I am not even going to bother with the intricacies of what this can be. We are not going to see Triple J for Utah today. Jock Landale is already going to Atlanta, I think. No Conchar. Keontae George already out. No sign of Vince Williams. We don't know the status of Kevin Love yet. So that's Utah being extra weird. For the Hawks, Q-Tag, Onyeka Okongwu, still coming back out of that tooth removal from his face. Kristaps Porzingis is now a Golden State Warrior, and I'm not expecting the Atlanta Hawks to be using Jonathan Kuminga or Buddy Hield just yet. So the Hawks are a bit of a mess. But here's what's on Utah today. Now, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, if something hasn't gone through yet and I missed a name. Collier, Bailey, Cody Williams, Lauri Markkanen, and Yusuf Nurkic. They've got Sensabaugh, Harkless, Kevin Love, Filipowski, Svi, Shibwe, technically, John Tanje. I don't know how to say that properly without looking it up, but at least on the surface, Utah has a bunch of guys. This could look very different once we start seeing injury reports. And then for Atlanta, they've obviously been shuffling up their chairs a little bit. Porzingis is not going to be playing here. What breaks for the rest of Atlanta? Undetermined. And I wouldn't necessarily think they are done with potential trades. Speaking of teams that have done a lot of shit and we have no idea what they're doing, welcome to the Chicago Bulls. They are on the road in Toronto today. Kobe White already gone. Josh Giddey hurt. Mike Conley not on this team any longer. Nikola Vucevic not on this team any longer. They are not going to have Anthony Simons, or at least I certainly don't expect them to have Anthony Simons. Zach Collins still out. Q-Tag on Ayo Dosunmu. He might not even be a Bull by the end of the day. Trey Jones is questionable. Julian Phillips is questionable. Jaden Ivey is technically listed as questionable, which makes no sense to me, but maybe that goes through. No idea. And then the Raptors are on a back-to-back, so we don't even have their injury report. And this is a team that's been trying to make a trade over the past 2 days with multiple dudes that can go out. Murmurings of Domantas Sabonis yesterday. Toronto could look massively different as we continue on. The Charlotte Hornets traded Colin Sexton yesterday. They got Kobe White. Now, I don't think any of that's going to matter, but that does make their team look a little bit different. Realistically, the Hornets don't have any other options going on. For the Rockets, they're on a back-to-back. So we really don't know what they're going to do today. And that's absolutely a team that can make a deal if they want to make a deal. I don't know if they are doing that, but Houston is obviously highly incentivized to take a shot here. The Spurs are on the back-to-back coming off of that OKC game yesterday. We have no idea who's going to be active here. Another team that could very easily make trades if they want to. And then we get to the Mavs. Clearly Anthony Davis not on the team anymore, nor is D'Angelo Russell or Dante Exum or Jaden Hardy. Lively still hurt. Irving still hurt. PJ Washington is out. Questionable tag Brandon Williams, who I believe missed the last game. Daniel Gafford is questionable with his right ankle sprain, which I believe he sprains every time he goes out on the floor. The G League guys are available. Dallas is certainly live to make more moves. Who knows? So that's a mess. The 10 o'clock games. Well, the Warriors shipped out Kuminga and Buddy Hield, so we know those dudes aren't playing. Clearly, Kristaps Porzingis is not going to be playing for the Warriors. These trades aren't going through until tomorrow. No Steph Curry, no Seth Curry. I don't know if they're off to like a family reunion or something. LJ Cryer is questionable, if that matters to anybody. Booker already out for the Suns. Jalen Green continues to be questionable. So who the hell knows what's going on in Golden State, but all of their good players aren't available. Philly and the Lakers. Jared McCain got shipped out to OKC. Shout out Thunder. Paul George is suspended. Embiid is questionable. Jackson Hayes is suspended on the other end. Now, Philly's probably not going to do anything today. They've made their move. They're out of the tax at this point. The only thing Philly's going to do, I think, is if they get bowled over with a good move, they would do it. For the Lakers, they're certainly live to be active today. I don't really know what market they're going to be in. But we have infinite dudes already out. Infinite times infinite guys to come for additional people just being out today. It's going to be fun. We're already seeing 60% ownership to Isaiah Collier. We just watched him play all 48 minutes last time out. Right now, a $3,200 Jameer Watkins is looking at a giant chunk of minutes. Now, that is very live to come down. There are changes that can be made for Washington that could get them more players for today, potentially. But either way, a $3,200 small forward, power forward option is going to be a really nice value. If Io DeSunmu's available, he could be interesting. The Bulls are obviously super shorthanded. Whether he plays or not is up in the air. You get to pay up to 10-5 for Jalen Johnson in a matchup against the Utah Jazz B squad. I mean, the turmoil in the Bulls is creating ownership on Trey Jones, Patrick Williams, Matas Buzelis, Moussa Diabate getting a little bit of love, Jalen Suggs getting a little bit of love. Will Riley is going to be a thing today just because of how many people are available for Washington. Yusuf Nurkic could realistically just not play at all, and that's on the table. I love this slate. I wish that they included the 10 o'clock games just to make it more hectic. But like, Jalen Johnson is the most expensive guy on today's slate, and he's 40% owned. It's like all the ownership is already at the most expensive guy. Cade's 10, Wemby's 10. We'll see if those guys are playing today. Obviously, Cade against Washington, you're not expecting, 36 hard minutes. Wemby on a back-to-back, they're surely not going to go crazy with it, even if it is a Texas back-to-back. Well, Texas-ish, OKC and Dallas. Şengün, no ownership. Paolo, no ownership. Barnes, no ownership. Durant, no ownership. Cooper Flagg, sub 10%. Michael Porter Jr., sub 10%. There is no ownership at the top right now, outside of Jalen Johnson. Looking forward to Kuminga getting his chance. Steve Kerr is hands down biggest you-know-what in the NBA. Don't hold your breath on Kuminga doing a bunch of stuff for Atlanta. I'm not entirely sure what position he plays other than backup Jalen Johnson. But if you're thinking that Jonathan Kuminga is about to become something for Atlanta, I'm not confident that's true. It's possible that Steve Kerr just didn't play Jonathan Kuminga for the Occam's razor answer, which is that Jonathan Kuminga is just not that good. That's my assumption. Most coaches like to play guys that they think should help them win. But yeah, the more likely scenario is that you don't see a ton of Jonathan Kuminga in any sort of appreciable way, and that he's more likely to be somewhere else next year. I certainly don't like the fit of Kuminga on Atlanta. Like, at all. It's a bad fit. It was a much better fit when they had Porzingis, but womp womp. Yeah, I don't That's a great trade for Golden State. Like, maybe they've got weird medicine that can save Kristaps Porzingis. It is California, Silicon Valley. Can they just program Kristaps Porzingis to not be sick anymore? Because that's a great pickup for Golden. That's exactly what they needed. That's a huge ad for the Warriors at no cost whatsoever. Like, Porzingis is always awesome when he's able to be on the floor. Now, obviously, that's not been great over the past year and a half. But, like, if they just fix him being not sick, that could be interesting. Why would Atlanta take him then? Well, I don't think Atlanta's particularly excited about the Kristaps Porzingis being sick experience. So they know a little bit more than others. Kuminga will average 26 and 6 on the right team. Yeah, that team plays in China. Unless he's going to go back to college. Jonathan Kuminga is never averaging 26 and 6 in the NBA. What are we talking about here? Do we understand how good that is? Never. Never, never, never. Impossible. $26 and 6. He hasn't had anybody want to play him in 5 years. Surely there's something in that. I mean, maybe he can score 26 and 6 in a game, but nobody's given 65 games to Jonathan Kuminga and he's coming out with 26 and 6. If he does, I'm going to promise you that team is picking in the top 5 in the lottery. Yeah, I absolutely hate the Kuminga. But again, it's not that I don't know what else you could have got for Porzingis, but I don't hate the idea of rolling the dice on Kuminga. At the very least, you can play him more than Golden State was going to play him. And if you can somehow rehab him to flip him again, kudos. Kuminga is way better than Vit Krejci. Well, what are you trying to do? I'd rather have Vit Krejci than have Jonathan Kuminga. What does Kuminga have to be? Your primary point of attack? You're going to be one of the worst teams in the league if that's the case. At least Vit Krejci knows who Vit Krejci is. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't realize what he needs to be yet. If Jonathan Kuminga were willing to play that style of basketball, he'd be on the Warriors. We got to talk about how these guys fit. It's not just Jonathan Kuminga is better than Vit Krejci, so that's a victory. If you're playing Jonathan Kuminga the way you think you need to, you're a worse basketball team. If you're playing Vit Krejci like he's your 9th guy in the rotation, you're allocating him properly. The problem in this case is everybody wants to play Jonathan Kuminga in a role that he is not capable of handling. There's a reason that we got to remember how these guys fit together. Derek White is the perfect example for this. When Derek White is deployed in the proper way, he's better than so many of the guys that you would think and want to name in this scenario. If we're talking about having a guy be the guy that starts the offense, he's going to be worse. I would rather have Derek White than Trae Young. But if I need one of those guys to be the initiator of my offense, I'd rather have it be Trae Young. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say here? It's all about the way you use these dudes. I'd rather have the proper number 5 dude in my team in his role than force fit a guy that everybody thinks is better but doesn't fit. Thanks, Ricky. I'll get right on that. If Jonathan Kuminga were willing to play the style of basketball that they wanted, he would have just been playing for the Warriors. But I don't get the fit on Atlanta currently. You don't want him out there with Jalen Johnson. Obviously, Dyson Daniels is a nothing from an offense perspective. Where is he hot? There he is. Jonathan Kuminga estimated negative 1.3 on offense right now. We're talking about a guy that shot 32% from three over the last 3 years. 25th percentile true shooting for the past 2 years. Like, what do we want here? For a 6'7", 225 guy, you should probably be shooting a bit better at the rim. Like, I'm not saying he's not an interesting lottery ticket, because I think that he is. I don't know if that's the case on this team with, we've got Jalen Johnson out there. Is he a great shooter? Probably not. Could he be average? Hopefully. Dyson Daniels, is he a good shooter? Well, he's shooting 13% from three on the year. He takes 1.5 per game. So, that's one guy that's definitely not shooting. You better pray that Onyeka Okongwu's shooting is real. I don't really know if that's the case. I'm nervous about the fit. You can't have Daniels, Kuminga, Jalen Johnson out there. I think that's going to be troublesome. But maybe you rehab him. I don't know. Certainly doesn't seem like Kristaps Porzingis was going to be getting healthy anytime soon, so figure it out after that, I guess. His stats are skewed. You want to know part of that team. So he just went out there and missed on purpose? Is that what we're saying? Let's also remember, and again, he was young, but he's never been efficient. They needed a score or not. Yeah, but are they going to be doing that to Jalen Johnson plays 36 minutes? They needed another guy to take the ball away from him? I don't know about that. It's kind of wild to me that those guys are the same age, too. I don't know. I don't know what Atlanta's up to. Weird team right now. They're just shuffling deck chairs around. It's interesting. All right. One thing we need to talk about here that we didn't talk about yesterday. I wanted to hold off on it. We talked about it a little bit, and I saw Larry ask the question. So I want to show it on screen now. Because I've showed this on screen before, but it hasn't been real. If you'll note, the top of the bar at Stokastic is now a bit different. And it includes NBA rotations. We got a couple little things that I'll need to fix here, but what we have here now is the official replacement of Popcorn Machine on Stokastic.com. And I am very, very happy that you guys are going to be able to see this and use this. Whether you're just trying to do more research on the DFS side, whether you're trying to do more research for the prop tool, if that's what you're trying to do, because now we can dig in and see how people played and who they played with in their recent games. So things that you can see on here right away. Let's say Jalen Johnson, for example, will be the first one that I'll look at. If I hover over Jalen Johnson, I get to see how long he was on the floor for that particular stint, the team's plus minus while he was out there, what he did statistically. So in this case, 7 points, 4 rebounds, an assist. You get his DraftKings fantasy points in that stint. He picked up 1 foul and he has 1 total. You always want to track fouls. And then it tells you which teammates did he play with and how long were those guys on the floor with him. Like Dyson Daniels checked out at the same time. They both played 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Full breakdown of who they played with, full breakdown of who was on the floor from the other side of this game. So it's not even just that you could look at it to see who they shared a floor with. It's also the opponent. Fontecchio out there for 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Gardner out there for 8 minutes and 17 seconds. So we can break down every one of these stints, compare and contrast against both teams. We could also see how these guys did when both guys are on the floor together. So let's say we want to know a little bit about how well Mo Gay and Jalen Johnson played together on the floor. Well, if I click Jalen Johnson's name and Mo Gay's name, I can see they were on the floor together for 15 minutes and 30 seconds. They were +7 in that time. It was 3 separate stints. And then you could also see the full breakdown of who shared the floor with them and their stats. So that's all the playing time for when Jalen Johnson and Mo Gay were both on the floor. It's the points, the rebounds, the assists, the plus minus for each one of those individuals. And if you want to, you can make it both sides of the game. So if you want to say like, all right, in the Bam Adebayo Jalen Johnson matchup, they shared the floor for 27 minutes and 30 seconds. It was essentially neutral. Bam, 27 minutes, 30 seconds. Jalen Johnson, 27 minutes, 30 seconds. Full breakdown split out for all of these guys. So I have used Popcorn Machine for a decade at this point. I was certainly using it when I started doing these shows back in 2017. And I would imagine I was using it for the years before that. I just have no memories any longer. But now this is at our fingertips for everybody to use at Stokastic. Pick the team that you want to look at. Pick the game that you want to look at. And you will have that rotation in front of you. And you could break down all of them. For this one, it's Lakers Nets. 18 minutes and 46 seconds of LeBron James and Luka Doncic on the floor together. They were +12 in that time. This is what we're looking for now to track rotations. NBA Wowie coming soon. This is what I've been working on lately. This is what I'm trying to get out to you guys so you have a little bit more at your fingertips, because if you guys can get a little bit more familiar with looking through rotations, we're going to have a rates tool that we can use in the future so that you can see how do people do when they're on or off. And now you guys can use that in the props tool. So right now, I've got it set. Let's just go 50-50, projections and smart lines. We'll see all of the positive EV plays that are taking these stochastic projections and blending them with our most accurate betting line. But you can take this even further. Let's say you want to deal with Q tags, or let's say you're maybe just a little bit more confident about something else, and we have rates differently. Well, we can click on Utah and Atlanta. And now we have a slightly different view. Let's look at Atlanta. Let's look at Jalen Johnson. I could edit Jalen Johnson's rates. I can increase his minutes. I could increase his points per minute, his rebounds per minute, his assists per minute, his threes per minute. Let's say he plays 37 minutes. If I apply those changes, you can now see updated projections and comparisons to those props. So by giving Jalen Johnson an extra minute, we now have slightly more positive EV bets. I can expand that. And now we can see that based on my changes, we got a 4.4% EV on Jalen Johnson's points prop. Got a little bit more positive EV on threes and points plus rebounds. Well, maybe you think about it and you're like, you know what? I actually don't think he's going to play an extra minute. I think he's going to play less. Well, I'll just take that down to 35 minutes. And now everything recalculates. Now, at 35 and a half minutes, plus 7.5 value on an under an 11.5 rebound prop. You guys now have the ability to manually tweak rates if you want. Apply those changes and find out what bets fit best. Maybe you want that to be 100% projections and 0% market. Now this is literally just the projections in the model. Whatever you move around is going to be fully based on that. If you want to make those adjustments and you have something weighted, that will be a little bit different. But these are the things we're trying to build out right now and give you guys a little bit more autonomy. Now you guys can get your hands dirty. If you've got bets that you think, maybe you're looking at Onyeka Okongwu. This could be a really good example. Or let me think about, okay, this could be a really good example. Let's look at Detroit because we have a Q tag on Cade Cunningham. But realistically, you can pop in here and think to yourself, well, what does this look like if Cade doesn't play? Do you want to go ahead and automatically right now slightly increase Jalen Duren's points per minute on the off chance that Cade is out? Maybe Cade Cunningham's brother, Jim Cunningham, texted you. And it's like, yo, he's not playing today. You're going to be the new Greg Ehrenberg with Terry Rozier. So you bump up some of these rates. So I bumped up Duren's rates, and now, just by giving him a couple extra points per minute, his points prop is popping as an over. So you can see it happen in real time. Just simply bumping up the points per minute for Jalen Duren immediately shows you giant positive EV on his points prop. Yeah, the moment I said it, Steven, I wish that I went with Richie Cunningham. It would have made much more sense. I was kind of a little regretful. So between the props tool, the rotations tool, and a soon-to-be-coming Wowie tool. Yeah, Larry, sort of. Sort of. Let me see if I can do this and not break anything while I do it. So this is for you guys and you guys only on the old strategy show. But this is the Wowie version that I've been working on lately, and I think you guys are going to love this one. So let's use, who would be a good team as an example to show you guys. This will be perfect. Let's just use the Milwaukee Bucks. So Milwaukee Bucks, I am going to take Giannis off, and that's it. We'll just do Giannis off for this reference. So with Giannis off, we'll run this query. We'll get all the rates, the totals, the whatevers. Bump that up a notch. Actually, we're going to be fine here. So right out of the gate, you can toggle between DraftKings and FanDuel if you'd like. You have raw totals. You have per 100 possessions. You have per 36 minutes. And you have a bunch of different potential views. Now, I'm working on these, so don't get married to what you see. This is sort of just a framework. You want to look at just shooting stats. It's all right here. 2s, 3s, free throws, true shooting, etc. You want to look at where they shoot from when Giannis is off. We've got rim breakdowns. We've got short mid-range, long mid-range, corner threes, above the break threes. It's all here for you. Break down our rebounding stats and where people get their rebounds. Defensive stats, steals, blocks, etc. And you could look at all of these as per 100 rates or per 36 minute rates. Playmaking stats like assists, turnovers. Where are they getting their assists? And then finally, what I think is most interesting and will operate a bit better than what you've seen previously, the custom view. And the custom view is exciting. If you click this little gear button, you can pick 15 stats that you want in a particular table. Order them however you see fit. These guys, You can drag and drop these things all over. Add and take out stats just by clicking buttons. So you can build your own personal custom view. Like I've got DraftKings fantasy points and fantasy points per minute. I just clicked a bunch of other random stats to get the point across. But when you click done, all of those custom stats will be here for you in the order that you want them. And at least for right now, if you click this little button right here in the top right corner, that will copy that entire table straight to your clipboard. This will be up hopefully in the next couple days. I'm hoping you guys can get this for sometime next week. This is another one. It's going to be going up on the site. If you've got an NBA account, you're going to want to be checking these things out, because looking at individual player rates, looking through rotations, making some adjustments in the props tool, that is absolutely what you guys are going to want to do if you're looking to get out in front of everybody, make some bets on your own. More to come in this as well. I've been working on it a lot lately, but this has been taking up the most of my time. My goal, and I know that I haven't been doing this as much lately, and trust me, I've been hearing it from at least 2 or 3 of you in comment sections constantly. I knew what I wanted this show to be, but I didn't really have the ability to do it because I'm just sharing stuff from everywhere. Now, when we start this strategy show, we're going to be able to dive into Wowie on our site and talk about it directly. We're going to be able to dive into rotations and talk about it on Stokastic.com and not have to go everywhere else. We can get right back into the props tool. We can get right back into the sims. I want to have everything at my fingertips at Stokastic.com so you guys can get it too. That's the way that I make this show as good as it possibly can be. So now, that's the plan. We can go through rotations in the morning. We can break down these rotations and see what's looking different, who's playing with who, how much do the rates look different when that happens. Like, when Giannis is off the floor, you can see immediately. Ryan Rollins goes from a 1.09 fantasy point per minute guy, that's what you see at the bottom line, up to a 1.21 fantasy point per minute guy. That's the top line. So you've got comparisons to the season long rates. The main white number on the top is the sample. So that's everything that everything these guys do when Giannis is off the floor. The bottom row is their season rates. So if you see green in this sample, that means they're doing these things better when Giannis is off the floor. When you see black, or when you see red, they're doing it worse. So you see Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins get massive bumps in fantasy points per minute. No surprise there. You see Ryan Rollins go from 23.5% usage to 27.8. That's an 18% increase. You see KPJ from 24 to 27. You see assist rate change. It's all right here at our fingertips for us now. And again, this will be up on Stokastic soon. The rotations tool is already there. You can go to it right now. This is going to be here within the next couple days. And then we've got more to come after that. If there's stuff that you guys want to see, let me know. We're at a unique spot right now where we can make everything better. It took a while, but now we're at a place where I can build pretty much anything we want quickly and use it almost immediately. And you best believe I'm going to use the NBA All-Star break to get some work done. Now, let me hit you guys with the schedule for the rest of the day. We've got 2 shows likely right around 1:30. The NHL strategy show will be going off at 1:30. I will be going live for the NBA trade deadline show sometime in that 1 to 2 o'clock range. Eric and I will be back for NBA Live Before Lock later tonight at 6 o'clock. Greg Ehrenberg will be back once again for the NBA Live After Lock show. 2 straight days of that. You guys seem like you love it. You know, there were still 1,000 people left for Greg by the time he got to the end of that show. I love the concept. It's something that I've been advocating for a bit. I didn't think we needed as much prior to lock. I think the idea of having something out there for late swaps and betting as games are going on, especially given our prop tool and the new tools that we're going to be unveiling soon enough, I think it's a great time for Greg to dive into that kind of stuff. I think that's a really great way for you guys to get more content, but slightly different content. We don't need 2 hours leading up to lock any longer. At least to me, we didn't need it. It's just it got redundant. In this day and age of all of this data, we can get to the point a little bit faster now. And who knows? Maybe this ends up looking even different, even more different as we go on. But I think we're putting out a lot of tools right now that allow you guys to do as much work as you want. If you want to use the props tool and just rely on our projections, you could absolutely do that, and I think you should, particularly in times where we know the projections have just updated. Like if we hit an update at 11:30 a.m., I would be much more likely to just blindly go at that with like a high stochastic originations number. Whereas like now I'd probably lean a little bit more on the market and look for like tiny edges. But as we build this out, you can make these changes yourself. That's kind of fun. Tizzle, I agree. I think the Afterlock show is more valuable than a deeper dive. We're so far away from takes now, to me. Like, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's doing me any good to be on a deeper dive and like allude to the fact that these massive optimal guys aren't that good. So to me, I would rather be able to provide actionable information than just reading off an ownership table. The more we do this, I think the more we can get that done. We're in great shape, though, for right now. Like, realistically, this is the last slate where, like, we have, like, true awfulness. After today, like, things will get back to being kind of steady, which is nice. I'm ready to, like, settle back into crazy basketball and, like, work it. But, I mean, we only have a week until the All-Star break. We'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I won't be on the show Thursday night. It is my birthday, so I took off. I will be here for the strategy show. I won't be on live before lock next Thursday. And then we're off for a week. For shows, that is. Hockey streets will be pretty warm. Although, I don't know when the Winter Olympics hockey stuff starts either. Larry, thank you. I didn't like that one at all, man. He got the playing time, so like I don't feel too great about it. Because he was still out there for a massive amount of time. And obviously, my boy, what is his name? Chris Youngblood? Was that his name? He certainly wasn't the nuke of the night. Won the quarter arcade the other day with Greg's info on the Afterlock show. Yeah, like I think that's so valuable for Greg being able to talk through late swap opportunities, because that's really like the most important thing now. And even if you are running it through the sim tool to do it, it's still massive to know what you're doing there and what you should expect to see. And between late swaps and like quick actionable bets, I think live after lock is going to be pretty important. So we're about 45 minutes in. I know we didn't do a ton on the slate for today, but I hope that's obvious why. Like, it's the trade deadline. We know a bunch of nonsense is coming. Because it doesn't even have to be guys that matter. Like, not that I think this is going to happen, but like if Charlotte traded Moussa Diabate, it wouldn't be like weird, but it would change the slate. What if the Bulls trade one of their billion guards, or Patrick Williams, or Dosunmu ends up out? What if the Jazz do? Like, it's all on the table. If the Raptors trade two of their real, like if they trade Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett or something's going to look good for Toronto. I'm so excited to talk about all of this stuff later today. So again, if the trades start popping off sometime after noon. Like if Giannis gets traded at 12:30, I'll be live within minutes. If it's tame, then I'm probably going to wait it out till 1:30. But at the moment, if you guys get any pop-up news of anybody real, and I mean real, like if Domantas Sabonis gets traded, I'm not going live. I don't care. He's not going to get traded for anything. So keep it in mind. We got a lot going on. Brian Brooks, do you believe any of this business connecting Zubats to the Pacers? Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of teams trying to get Ivica Zubats right now. Because the Clippers don't really need him any longer. Now, I would keep him because he's good, but like realistically, they could probably get a lot of picks for Zoo. So like whether that's Boston making this move, which is not out of the realm of possibility, whether it's the Pacers, whether it's the Lakers, which I wouldn't expect, but that's besides the point. I think there's going to be a lot of murmurings on Zubats. He is highly valuable. Brad Stevens is going to finesse Io into that Vooch deal somehow. Now, that deal is probably done because of the way that they had to do it. That was a masterclass from Brad Stevens, because that is not a one-for-one trade of Anthony Simons to Vooch. That is two separate trades that actually created Boston a bigger trade exception than they had before. So that trade actually worked like this. Anthony Simons got traded to the Bulls for nothing because they were able to take him into a exception, I believe. Or they had the room, one or the other. Then the Bulls traded Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics into the trade exception that they had, which also created a new trade exception that was $6 million higher than it was before Simons. So by structuring that deal as two separate individual, like we get reported as Simons for Vooch, it's technically two deals that allowed the Celtics to create a new trade exception for $6 million more than it was before, and they get Vooch. It's a great piece of business by Boston. Similarly, Utah and Memphis, that deal was fascinating as well, because that's three separate deals, creating Memphis the largest trade exception in NBA history. Dirt McGirt, yeah, I would not be surprised at all if Mike Conley ends up back on the Wolves. Kind of expect Chris Paul to end up on the Lakers, but who knows? But yeah, I think it's very live for Mike Conley to end up back on Minnesota. Yeah, massive savings for Boston too. What's the trade that I want to happen today? That's a good question. I would love to see the Pistons trade for Michael Porter Jr. if they could. There's not too much else out there. I would certainly be interested to see if Portland did anything. They've got some pieces that can move around if they wanted to like draw a line in the sand. I don't have anything for like a specific person. It's more team related. I'm curious if Oklahoma City does anything. Like, I think there's a non-zero chance they could trade Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, what if Oklahoma City called up the Clippers and offered Hartenstein for Zoo? Just spitballing. Just having a conversation. Could be something that would be pretty interesting to me. The Pistons as constructed aren't going anywhere. I mean, that's not true. Look, I'm not a huge Pistons guy. I don't think that they're ready. I just don't think the East is any good. But their defense is real. And I don't really think they have anybody that would like truly scare them in the playoffs. They don't care. But I'd like to see them make some additional move. They've got so much flexibility. But yeah, I've got my eye on Oklahoma City. My guess is they do nothing because it's just not in their best interest to do so. But I think a Hartenstein trade could be very intriguing if they wanted to do it. Just to show you guys what I mean. Do I think Drew is on the move? I doubt it. That would surprise me. But if I'm Portland, I'd be trying to do it. Okay. This is the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get out of here. Thunder Clippers. Hartenstein's on 28. Zoo's on 18. Maybe this might be a little bit more. Ooh. That's reversed. Huh. Isaiah Hartenstein for Zubats and Derek Jones Jr. with some draft capital? You can talk me into that. Or you can try to do it with like Bogdanovich and something else, since Bogdanovich can expire next year. Like if I take out Derek Jones Jr., if they don't want that money, I add Bogey. Yeah, that works too. Bogey and Zubats for Hartenstein with a pick or two involved. You can't tell me that's not interesting. Isaiah Hartenstein's on the books for $28.5 million next year. OKC is going to get more expensive with their extensions. Zubats is already locked in for 2 more years around 20. This would save them like $8 million next year. There's an extra year on top of it at a relatively decent deal. Clippers are like, yeah, fuck it. We can flip Isaiah Hartenstein again too if we want to. That doesn't break that down, but it sets up the Thunder in a much better way over the next 2-3 years. This is the type of thing I could see them doing. This would be the type of thing that I would want. Can the Thunder trade Isaiah Hartenstein for Ivica Zubats? That's a deal I want on paper for the Thunder. Helps them in the future, and doesn't change anything about them right now. Realistically. Well, that's all I got. We'll poke around all of this kind of stuff later today. Sometime this afternoon, NBA trade deadline show live. NBA live before lock later tonight. Oh, by the way, if you want the props tool, just $1 with the promo code PROP. That link is in the description. We shared that prop tool on the screen. We worked through some of the different rate changes that you guys can make. If you want to check it out, you can add it on for just $1 with the promo code PROP. Couldn't get any easier than that. And also sign up at Stokastic using the link in the description. If you sign up through one of our partners, you can get a month for free. Good luck tonight, everybody. We will really break this down a bit later. Maybe after the deadline, I'll touch on some DFS stuff if we've got any updates for it. But for now, adios.